On this episode of the Create Podcast, we had Euryale Brewing Company in Riverside. Don and Carrie are the owners. Don's the brewmaster. He's been brewing for over 32 years. We had them in the studio, and then right after, we came back to Riverside to check out the brewery, tasted a bunch of their beers. This one right here, the glazed donut beer, is like one of my new favorite beers. I never thought I would like a glazed donut beer. It's the perfect amount of sweetness. We tried, how many beers did we try?
I don't know, it's a blur. But that mole beer changed my life. Antonio, it changed your life, yeah?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, mole beer with chili, right?
Yeah.
The chili, it's like spicy.
It's perfect for the holidays.
They have a coconut mango milkshake IPA, which I think is my new favorite IPA out of all the IPAs in the world. So good. So incredible people. We loved hanging out with them, getting a tour of the brewery, and their beers are just as good as they are. So hope you enjoyed this podcast as much as we did. You don't get to drink the beer, but hopefully you enjoy hearing all about it.
This is the Create Podcast.
Well, thanks you guys so much for coming out.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. We had Glass Ranch on and talking about their beers, and they mentioned you guys, and I was like, man, we need to get them on the podcast too. So
No, thanks. Yeah.
Appreciate
so
you
that's
making
cool. Yeah, we are lucky enough to have partnered with them. So the beers, he is a phenomenal brewmaster.
Yeah, I agree.
Recipe, yeah.
They are all delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I haven't tried the new one that just came out.
Seltzer?
The seltzer?
Seltzer, yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Really good. That was our first attempt at doing a big batch seltzer canning.
Yeah.
And we had one little snafu, but then he corrected it, and the next can run went perfect.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
very
the
good at what he's doing.
feel of the cans, that kind of matte.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
You'll see when we go back to the brewery, ours have a recurring theme. They're not as matched as their cans are, but you can tell there are cans because we have the two-tone and they're pretty cool. So yeah, I think we have pretty good branding as well.
I love it. Yeah.
We're starting to get out. Although some of our cans are just bright with labels slapped on them because cans are king right now during COVID. It's all
For
show. Yeah. So.
Have you guys had a adjustment with COVID at all? Have you had to make any
absolutely.
changes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a 180-degree turn.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, we have an interesting story. Somebody was looking out for us. We were getting prepared to really start kind of blowing up. We were getting very popular. People were asking for our beers. And so we needed to get more kegs. So we had arranged to buy about $10,000 in half-barrel kegs and kegs to stock up to be able to supply bars and restaurants because we were getting a real influx and to be able to accommodate that and have enough kegs. So I had got funding, and I'm a accountant, so it was right at March. We're doing a lot of tax returns for business tax returns. They're due 3/15. So I was dragging my feet a little bit and doing the paperwork because I was so busy, and COVID hit 3/15. City shut down, and I hadn't signed the loan paperwork, so we didn't end up getting the kegs.
Wow.
We could use. So then I retooled that, and we used that to buy cans.
That's amazing.
So, or we would have been sitting with empty kegs.
Yeah.
$10,000 worth of empty kegs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowhere to sell them to.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
It's funny how many happy accidents we've heard through COVID with different businesses. Like we had Delia's Grinders on, and they had, I guess theirs wasn't an accident, but they had just set up the beginning of that year their online ordering. Which had they not had that would have really affected them in a negative way.
Well, and Glass Ranch had just got their curbside pickup set up the Friday before, I think. The whatever that last day that kids were in school.
Yeah.
So it's cool to hear everybody's little happy accidents that happened in the midst of so much chaos.
Is the Glass Ranch seltzer that you guys just did, is that do they have that at their market yet?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
We did, like I said, the first can run, there was a little bit of issues, so we only got 6 cases.
Yeah.
So then they came and got those 6 cases the next day, and then the following, it was yesterday? Was that when we canned it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so yesterday we did the rest of the cans, and I think it was a total of 120 cases.
Wow.
And they took them, and were probably on shelves the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. I saw the picture on their Instagram.
Yeah, the can is beautiful.
It is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. I was like, when I saw them, I took pictures. Betsy, look at the can. It's so beautiful.
I know it is.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I love doing this podcast that we started. We mostly just do it for fun, and we moving back to California and to Riverside, and that's really wanting to, we own a business and really wanting to dive in and spotlight other businesses, especially those that have come at it from a creative angle, like you guys have, creating something, a new product or a new business or something within an industry. But it was when we had Glass Ranch on, and I had no idea that they even had beers that they were doing. And so that came up, I think, in the podcast.
Okay.
And then Jason hooked us up, gave us a bunch. So we tried all the beers that you guys done with them, and they're all really good.
Yeah,
from the lemon and the lime and the blood orange and.
What was your favorite?
The blood orange.
Yeah. The blood orange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's their biggest seller. My favorite's the lime.
The lime
is number 2.
Yeah, the
lime is
really good.
And then the orange wheat is probably my number 2.
Yeah.
Even though I like IPAs.
I do too.
The tangerine IPA is pretty good. The Ruby Red's good. It's a little strong I like the session IPAs, so they're lower in alcohol.
Yeah.
It's like, if I drink one of the regular IPAs,
okay,
I'm done.
Yeah.
I know. I've had times where
there's people
he's
that can
drinking
pound them.
Yeah, he can pound them. Or he's drinking an IPA, and I even just go to take a big sip, and I'm like, whoa. Yeah. There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah. I like the big IPAs.
Not a Coors Light.
Just
no.
Can't drink too many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we have a session. I'm like, make me a session IPA.
Yeah. My brother and I played in North Carolina. We played in a charity golf tournament. We made the mistake of drinking really strong IPAs in the morning. So we weren't even halfway through the day. I was like, I can't golf anymore. Actually, I couldn't golf before. I'm terrible golfer. I'm like, I didn't think it was possible to get worse at golfing, but I somehow figured it out. So I know you guys are by North High School in Riverside, right?
Yes.
Where exactly are you at?
We're on Chicago between Spruce and Marlboro.
Okay.
So in the Hunter Park or Freeway Park center.
And you brew and you can on site as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we can, we use a mobile canner, which a lot of the smaller breweries like us do. Yeah. So we do everything on site. We have a 10-barrel brew house.
Yeah.
And our tasting room's about 900,000 square feet. So it's not really big. So when they announced, you can open 25% capacity if you're serving food, I'm like, okay, that's like 10 people. I don't think I'm going to hire a food person to do that. So we've been doing for regular seating, every other Saturday.
Okay.
I have a food vendor come in and set up outside. But normally we're open Wednesday through Sunday for our to-go business, cans, bottles, growler fills.
That's cool.
So for the to-go, right now you're still open?
Yes.
Wednesday through?
Sunday.
Sunday, and then every other Saturday, the tap rooms?
We're doing outside tap room.
Outside, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did it start? Were you guys brewing from home, or how did you get into it?
You want to tell your story?
I started brewing from home about 32 years ago.
Yeah.
And one day she asked, why don't we get into the beer business? It was really after we had a Christmas party where I made 6 different beers. And it was all home brewers, so they all make beer.
Okay.
And they brought a lot of delicious beers, whales, you might say, like very expensive bottles.
Yeah.
And left them for us. And we went through 60 gallons of beer at that Christmas party.
Yeah, he had made. And I'm like,
So I said, wow, they like our beer, because they could have drank anything. And anybody can say anything, but, what their actions speaks louder than the words.
Yeah.
And then later on, a couple of years later, she said, why don't we get into the beer business? And I said, man, you know how much work that's going to be?
Yeah, it was me. I am the driving force. He was retired. He's was disabled in a motorcycle accident.
Okay.
And I tell the story. I'm an accountant. I work a lot of hours. I'm at a big CPA firm in Riverside. I've been with them 25 years.
That's awesome.
And tax season, I can't do it anymore because now I'm really old. But I used to work like close during tax season, I've worked up to 80 hours overtime in a pay
Wow.
period, which is like 2 weeks. So double your
Yeah.
regular hours. So I always joke, I would call him up, what are you doing? He goes, oh, me and my friends are drinking some beer. And he had a little man cave. And then I said, I'm going to work Saturday. What are you going to do? Oh, me and my friends are going to brew some beer. And I said, that's it. I'm putting you to work.
So then we divided up tasks. I make the beer. She does everything else.
Yeah.
That seems like
Wait.
it worked out for you.
Yeah, although now that we're really starting to take off, I've had to cut back at my other job. I'm still was working full time. And about a year ago, I told my boss I need at least one day.
Yeah.
And then it's really not enough. So I'm going to have to even cut back. So they started hiring, and I'm trying to move my work over so that I can just maybe do more consulting work for them, or just do projects to help them out, but not have a regular
Yeah, the bread and
8
butter
to 5
of it.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to move towards that, and we thought it was going to work out this year because, like I said, we really had some good things lined up. But you gotta
Listen,
go
we're
where
all
the road takes you,
we're all just gonna survive
or you end up in the
2020.
bushes.
Yeah, it's true.
Sometimes you still
That's
do.
a great one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true.
So how long ago was that you guys had that idea and kind of stepped out into it?
It's
5
about
years.
6
We've been open
5 years.
5 years. So 6 years ago when we started
yeah, about
planning.
6 years ago.
Okay.
That's cool.
And so at that point, you were already brewing just as a hobby, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, it was like, okay, let's continue to do this to take it more serious. So I'm assuming you continued to do it out of your house at that point for a while, or how long did it? What was the next step?
The
What
next
kind of big
step is you have to get licensing, and to be licensed, you actually have to have a facility. You can't do
Okay.
it from your house.
So in order
You
to
can do,
sell it.
you can start promoting and saying, hey, we're going to open a brewery. You can even have some samples, but to actually brew so that
Be
you can
selling.
sell,
Yeah.
you have to have a facility, and then you get it licensed. You put all your paperwork in with TTB and then
Yeah.
an ABC. Yeah.
I guess that's a good thing. So then there'd be a lot of people out there that don't really know what they're doing.
Did you
yeah,
see that?
and I mean, and we didn't know that much. It's been a learning curve for sure.
Yeah. Did you see that article that we read about California, like putting a bill in place to have there be like micro restaurants where people are able to have restaurants out of their homes?
I did
Yeah,
see that.
it's interesting.
I saw an article on there, or a piece on one of the news channels.
Yeah,
where
I
they were
haven't.
talking about that.
I only saw that one, and I haven't seen anything else
Was
about
it
it
passed,
again.
or
but
it's something they're?
I think it's something
considering?
that they're like trying to do, like to help people through the pandemic, is allowing,
Them to
people
have a
who would be
business.
working in a restaurant that, it may not make sense
Yeah.
for them
Yeah.
to have.
I
a big
think I
space
read
anymore.
about that
Yeah.
you could have a professional kitchen that is been approved by environmental health
Yeah.
at the county. And you could do business out of it until you reach a certain level,
Yeah.
and then they would ask you to find a
Yeah.
commercial
get a space.
location.
Yeah.
So what
Interesting.
with the guidelines right now with having to have food, like what does
Right
that
now,
mean?
today,
Like, could you just
it
make
could change.
like
by Monday.
what's the criteria for food? Like if someone just has
They say
popcorn,
a bona fide meal
Has to be a
which
meal.
could mean anything. It's nonsensical to us
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're like, okay, what about? I mean, if people brought their own food, which we used to encourage because we don't sell food. We're not
Right.
a brew
Right.
pub. We don't have food. Or could we get pre-made sandwiches? That
Right.
doesn't qualify. There's a lot of things, and it needs to be rang up on the same ticket with the alcohol,
Yeah.
which I don't know how that stops anybody from getting COVID.
I know. I was
like-
thinking through it this morning, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to like understand the thought process behind like I can see the destination that they were trying to stay away from, which is like clubs
and mixing
and
yeah.
tons of people, but then I'm like trying to get back to the part of the show where we're now having
yeah, and the fact
like where you
that-
have to buy a bowl of
But-
chips to
yeah,
order
and
like
actually they expect you to do more than that.
yeah.
And the fact that they separated breweries and from wineries and put them in with bars.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I thought
I
that
don't
too
know
when I
whose
was
decision
looking.
that. Well, maybe I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I do now.
Well, we went to a restaurant and we were just getting a drink at the restaurant, and the waiter we forgot. He's like, "Well, you need to order food." And we're like, "Oh, okay." So I'm like, "Can we get a menu?" He's like, how about some chips and salsa and guac? I'm like, "Sure." And then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, "Hey, where's our chips and salsa?" And says to him, he's like, "Oh, no, I didn't actually put it in." I was like, "Oh, so you just have to talk about it." Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
He's like, "I'm not charging you, don't
yeah,
worry."
restaurants
Yeah.
a little bit different because they're already
Right,
that's-
they
that's
have the
their
food
fare.
on
Right.
site.
It was the bar section,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
but
that I
still
won't
connected to
I
a
won't throw the
kitchen.
restaurant under the bus, but they were like, "Yeah, we just have to have
A
this
hypothetical
conversation."
restaurant that you
Yeah.
hypothetically
Yeah.
went to.
Yeah,
This theoretical situation that we're talking
Yeah.
about.
yeah,
Yeah. So we've just been, doing what we've been doing, and like I said, we've done a bunch more canning, so that people can have our beers to go. So we have a lot in Brights. We just released a brand new seasonal beer, which we're real excited about. It's called Medusa Head Pumpkin Latte.
Ooh,
It's an
that
ale.
sounds
So you
good.
get to try that when you come
Yeah,
over.
Nice.
we will.
It's a big hit. I think it's going to do well. And, we have a lot of standard beers, like our pale ale. We have an IPA, but we also have some unusual beers. We have a donut beer and then
Oh,
a
cool.
coffee. They're companion beers. We made them together.
That's
and
awesome.
we have a Greek theme, so it's Castor and Pollux, the Gemini twins.
That's
and
awesome.
so it's a Castor Coffee Amber Ale and then a glazed donut beer,
Oh,
which
nice.
is surprising. It's not super sweet. It's just you get that hint of glazed donut when you drink it. It's a cream ale base, and then with the coffee, you can do it like Don says, coffee and donuts. Two-fisted drinking with that
I was
one.
gonna say that's a good excuse to double fist it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you moved in the facility, is it the one you're in now, or did
Yes.
you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
once you set up all that big equipment, you don't want to have
Yeah.
to move if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started, it was a warehouse. So from what it was to what we have now, and you'll get to see all the equipment we have in place, it was just a plain like open warehouse floor. And then we set up our equipment. We had to tear up the floors to put drains in and do a lot of work in the back.
Yeah.
So our tasting room is kind of, which we're going to start working on now, kind of when it's closed down, we can start doing some of the stuff. Like we set up a bar. Don built it. He used to be a carpenter, so he built
Okay.
a bar.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's not finished. It's still just wood. So I'm going to start working on getting that because I'm going to start taking more time off and work on the brewery stuff. So while we're not having people in, I can kind of finish
get it
out
done.
that,
Yeah.
redo the bathroom in the front. Yeah, it's kind of like just run together. We have like picnic tables in there, the plastic ones from Costco, just because we concentrated on being able to be a production brewery where
Yeah.
we have all of our money sunk into the equipment. So
Yeah. Well, your beer definitely tastes like it is just very well done. It's always delicious, and we love it.
Yeah. What's the story behind the name?
okay, well, we'll go back to the
Okay.
man cave where he's
Yeah.
brewing beer, and he had a kegerator, which was our kegerator that we opened with. It only had 5 taps, and we'd have a hidden tap with a picnic tap underneath when we
Nice.
first opened.
That's awesome.
So he had that in. We had a second garage at our other house, and that was the man cave. So I'm on the Arts Council, the Riverside Arts Council, and have been for years. And every year, their main fundraiser was this big. They called it the Mayor's Ball, and it's evolved over several years. And they have an art auction with different artists. And one of the artists that we had some of her pieces and really liked her art, she was going to have. I heard she had one in, and I went around, and I ran into her, and I'm like, "Where's your piece?" And she brought me this piece, and it's a big Medusa head, just the head, and she's screaming like she just got her head cut off.
Yeah.
And it's in black and whites, and it's textured. And so I bid on it and won it. And then my mom saw that and said, "Where are you going to put that?" Didn't really match my house decor. And I said, "Oh, we're going to put it in the brewery in the back." And so we started calling that when we'd have friends go, "Oh, we're going to go to Medusa Head Pub." So, of course, that was our name when we, went commercial.
Yeah.
And we got our logo done with that in mind. That was our name. We had registered and everything. And we went to trademark, and there's a Medusa brewery on the East Coast already trademarked.
Oh.
So we had to change the name, and we're like, what are we going to do? And, well, Medusa has 2 sisters, Thenos, and they say it Euryale.
Yeah.
And we're like, has ale in the name.
Yeah.
Maybe, things work out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So we took Euryale and kept the artwork because she's a Medusa as well, has the snakes and everything in her hair, and went with that. And
That's so
far
cool.
it's worked out.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that wins for the best story of how a business got its name.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What do
Love
I
it.
get? Prizes?
Get a gold star.
Radio transmission for podcast transmissions for
Yeah.
a year?
Yeah.
A lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Forever.
So when you guys were just brewing at the house, were you? I mean, you'd obviously already been brewing for a while. At that point, what was your go-to, or do you have a favorite, or did you kind of mix it up?
My favorite is pale ale.
Yeah.
I like a good pale ale.
Very, it's like the Pilsner of the ales.
Yeah.
It's subtle, it's vibrant, delicious. I
Yeah.
could drink a bunch of them.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
it's very drinkable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Pale ale is my go-to.
Yeah. Yeah. So so obviously you guys got into the facility and started brewing and got the logo and all that, the name nailed down. What were the first obstacles or steps kind of to going from, okay, now we're making this beer and getting it out there?
Yeah, it's difficult. You got to do social media, which I wasn't even on social media. I was like anti-social
Yeah.
media. So I figured I wasn't a good person, so I did hire somebody to do it.
Smart.
And she did a good job. I had our salesman take over because he was a little more savvy, more in touch, I think, with the newer stuff. So he's been taking over in posting. That's the hardest part, I think, because we're so media driven, and it was new territory for me. We redid our website, which was helpful. We had one, but it wasn't as user friendly, and I wanted to be able to go and change things, put our menus.
Yeah.
And so I had a friend that we got a technical grant from a small business association that provided a technician and paid him to build our
That's
website
amazing.
and help us and show me how to do it. So we're on Squarespace, which is really easy to use. I'm
That's
pretty
great.
happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those things, and then my time, because I have a full-time plus job. It was hard to, give. I think we'd be farther along earlier if I had, didn't have to split
Yeah.
time. Yeah, because I was a
Focus.
partner in the firm at the time when we did
Okay.
this, so I resigned because I told them I can't. We
Right.
started this other business, I can't be a partner because that requires even more, the commitment, and I have to split my time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the first step in starting to sell the beer? I mean, obviously now you guys are selling it out of your tap room, right? And then
Yes.
I'm sure you're getting to the point with working in retail and restaurants. What was the first step in going through that process?
The
of
first
selling?
step is just selling out of your tap room. Going to,
Yeah.
whenever there were events, charity events, we always were involved. We were involved with the Chamber of Commerce. We've done several of their events. Whenever we could go to some place where we could get our name out, we would do that.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped out. As far as selling around to other places, which is a very difficult market, especially Riverside was a little hard to break into. Don was our salesman, so not only did he make the beer, because then he could talk about it
Right.
to other
Yeah.
people.
Specifics.
And people that liked our beer, we got a lot of. The beer community is pretty friendly with each other for the most part, and we met some people that were in the industry that gave us help along the way. Hey, I don't know how to navigate this part, and they were very helpful.
That's
So.
great. I love that.
Mhm.
I've been a photographer for 20 years, and I've kind of watched the photography industry go from not very much that way to a lot more that way, and it's just better for the industry on the whole when people
Yeah,
are
help
helping
each
each other. Yeah,
Absolutely.
being cooperative instead of purely competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard that from others about the brewing and the beer industry, that for the most part, it's a community of people wanting to. I'm sure there's always outliers and people that are not doing that, but
Yeah.
Somebody having a bad day.
I've been making beer for 32 years. I also took the professional brewing certificate course at UC San Diego,
okay,
where I learned a lot from San Diego's Who's Who. So I'm a fountain of knowledge for other brewers, and I will even show our competitors how to make better beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is very knowledgeable, and
I love
we've
that.
had a lot of, people that know his reputation. He's starting to get a reputation, and people have come to him and, hey, I'm having this issue, or some people that are wanting to go into the business. Hey, can I learn from you?
Yeah.
And in fact, our assistant brewer is going to be opening his own brewery soon. We're really sad, but
Yeah.
we love him and want him to do well.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a good assistant brewer. Soon, he kind of had to put his. So that's kind of how COVID helped us.
Yeah.
Kept him from opening.
Gave you more
It is
time.
such a difficult dynamic. I had that happen
Yeah.
where I had a couple of photographers that I trained that started, and you're so happy for them, but like sad to lose them. And
Yeah.
that creative energy of working together. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So how?
And
Go ahead.
I said, and I'm sure we'll find the right person that to fit, because he wants to retire and just kind of do writing the recipes and not have
Yeah.
to do the
Cranking it all out.
the brew work, the grind, all the. It's a lot of work brewing on the professional and the level that we do.
Yeah.
So what does that schedule look like now? Like how often I know it's a whole process, but
So yeah, we're constantly making beer,
Pretty much
packaging
constantly,
it. So when my friends call me now and ask me what am I doing, I say, well, beer things. I
Making
mean,
beer.
do you want me to give you the list of things that I'm doing?
yeah.
Like, how in depth of an answer are you looking for? Do you just want me to say fine?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm good.
So then it's like, when are we going to get together? I go, well, about 5:36.
Yeah.
I try not to work 100 hours a week,
Yeah.
but there are many people who do
Yeah.
100 plus.
Yeah.
80 to 100 hours a week is not uncommon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially when it's something you're passionate about, and it's not just a job. It's so much easier, I found, to not realize, man, I'm working way too much.
Well, and there is a lot of work to it.
Yeah.
And honestly, it does take time. It may not be the hardest work. I mean, start something and wait for it to finish up, like start heating up water and then wait for it to get hot.
Yeah.
Put that hot water together with your raw materials and let it sit for the prescribed amount of time at a certain temperature.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of putting things together and waiting. So we work off timers, so we can do maybe 5-6 things at the same time.
Yeah.
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 And now that we're busier, I have lots of timers, and I've outfitted the brewery where we could almost do everything at the same time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's probably similar to photography, where it's like some art and some science and a little bit of luck thrown
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of science.
Yeah.
Yeah. The science guides our practice.
Yeah.
And actually the practice, it's a simple application of the science. And that's the difficult part for a lot of people. They have a lot of science in their mind. But when they come down to apply it, it becomes hard for them.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's with us doing this podcast and talking to different business owners that have created something. I love seeing how whether the business side or the science and the numbers and come together with the artistic and the creative side. When someone's able to bring those two worlds together and do them well, is a lot of times when really the magic happens. And it seems like with you guys, obviously, as a perfect fit. So how many beers are you guys brewing now? Do you know?
I think we probably have over 20 different
20,
beers available right now.
But overall, he has an amazing amount of recipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, throughout the years, I probably have like about 600 recipes.
Wow.
Wow.
And a couple years ago, there was a bit of a lull because, we were having construction. And so I really couldn't make beer or make beer to the extent that maybe I should have at the time. So I wrote a bunch of recipes. And in 2 weeks, I wrote like 60 different recipes.
Yeah.
Out of his head, which baffles me, but
Yeah.
that's why he's a genius. at
So
that
then
part of
some
it.
of those are becoming beers now. I'm making
Okay.
them. Yeah.
That's cool.
Have you done an oatmeal stout?
Yeah, our mole stout is actually an oatmeal
that
stout.
Yeah, the
sounds
Mole
good.
Stout it's very good beer. Don't have that one on tap though right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
ready
sounds
to
good,
go
though.
on tap, but it's not.
And
on tap.
recently I upped the heat a bit. You know, at first I thought I need to make these beers approachable.
Yeah.
And who knows everything? Nobody.
Mm.
So then we put that beer out there and saw how it sold, and
Yeah,
lots of
people
people
loved
loved it.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, well, you know, I thought that we would have sold more of it to our partners who have Mexican food restaurants. It just didn't happen. So then I decided to talk to the people who were drinking it. And there was this one couple that came in. They're like chefs in their own right.
Yeah.
And they love to cook and everything. And they were talking about it, and they recommended a chili combination for that beer that I later on tried. And one of them was Serranos, and I also put the Chipotle in there. So I roasted up some Serranos, and then I guess you could say I titrated the amount of chili for the amount of heat I was looking to get out of it. And when that heat I thought was at the perfect magnitude, mixed that beer up, put it together, and then served it to people. Well, some friends of mine tried it, and then they had like a food and beer tasting at their house, Tibor.
Oh, yeah.
And he put it up against some very heavy hitters, you know, which I won't mention the names, but, you know, and even some of those were like barrel-aged stouts. And he said, but I'm banking that people are going to like yours better, you know, and we made floats out of them for dessert.
Yeah.
And, oh, yeah, that beer with float in it with the heat and all the flavors in that beer,
very
it
good.
was awesome.
Yeah. That sounds
Wow.
Yeah, you
amazing.
get
Yeah.
cinnamon, chocolate,
Yeah.
and then the heat. Yeah, it's an excellent.
Do you have
beer.
that in cans right now, or?
No.
No,
No.
not right now. We could. It just,
We'll tap a little for you when we get
Okay.
to the food.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. One of my favorite beers is Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout.
yeah,
That's one of my favorites.
It is a good one.
yeah.
They have are they the ones that have that banana bread one? I don't think
No,
that's a
not-
Samuel
They have a
Smith. That's
nut
something
brown
else.
ale, and they have like some weird strawberry and different
Yeah.
ones. But
When we lived in North Carolina, maybe it was a local brewery
it was
that had
a
like this banana
pudding.
bread.
Yeah, I think it was a local brewery out there.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, that sounds like a great
Yeah,
beer.
Yeah.
it does sound like.
It was
I
really
think
good.
one of the weirdest beers we had that people, it was a peanut butter maple bacon brown.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was
Oh,
peanut
yeah.
butter and bacon, which
Yeah.
I had been bugging him. He was saying, like, I'm going to make a peanut. I go, no, make a peanut butter bacon, because my dad used to make us peanut butter bacon sandwiches
That's awesome.
when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's like all the best things in
Yeah.
one sandwich.
Yeah.
And
Oh, people love that beer.
They
It's
I'm
a-
sure.
got
the
big.
best comment I got on that was, "Oh, let me try that," and because they got to try it.
Yeah.
And he tasted. He goes, I don't know if I should love it or hate it, but give me a pint.
So with beers like that, do you just have some that are seasonal that come and go, or
Mm-hmm.
how do you guys manage that?
Well, some of them are, you know, one-off beers that we make, and any of them we could make again. But because it's so driven by what's new and what's the latest thing that you've
Trendy.
made trendy, yes, people are looking for different. I had read about pastry stouts, and then I made our donut beer, which isn't a stout, but it is a pastry beer because donuts are pastry,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And then I decided to make that companion beer. And then, you know, Carrie's ideas were, why don't we call them Castor and Pollux, the Gemini twins? I said,
love that.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we released them on a Sunday.
We re-released them actually at on a Sunday, and we
In our
would
kitchen.
advertise, come in for brunch,
For
have coffee and
Coffee and
donuts.
donuts.
Nice.
Yeah.
But then a beer event came up before COVID. You know, it was
Yeah,
in
it was a couple
August, and it
years
was a first run up in Big Bear Lake, and they had about 50 breweries there,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was you know, quite the
For their first time was
festival.
pretty aggressive. That they had quite a few breweries, and
Yeah.
it was pretty crowded.
So we were set up near the entrance, and people would come in. I go, oh,
Coffee and
you
donuts."
get to have as much beer as you want, and whatever. I go, try this donut beer. And they were like, but I don't like a sweet beer. I go,
It's not.
wouldn't call it sweet. Let me just pour you a little dribble. And if you don't like it, there's a spot over there you can spit it out. And if you do, I'll fill it up for you. And if you want to chug it, I'll give you the other one. So then I give them the dribble. Then they take it up, and then they get a big smile on their face before they say anything. They go, wow, yeah, fill that up.
Yeah.
And then I go, yeah, chug that down. Let me give you that coffee beer, and so you can see how good that one is too. So then they go, oh man, yeah. I go, now tell all your friends. And before we knew it, we had a line like 200 people long.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
it was,
amazing.
I talked to the organizer, and they said, yeah, you had a lot of buzz about your donut beer.
That's
It
amazing.
is it's
So
surprising.
great.
People don't, it's not what they expect when they
Yeah.
taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very beery, so it's still a beer experience with the bonus of being a donut, where you get a donut and a beer in the same thing.
You just can't go wrong
Yeah.
with that.
So it really made me think that I got to have fun with this. So it is a lot of work, and that's the point where I had a few more jobs than just making the beer. And at that point, I said, let's let other people do those jobs, because if I'm just bogged down in it, then how am I going to dream up these beers that are so
Yeah.
successful?
Yeah.
I got to dare to dream.
Yeah. So we hired our first salesman about that time. So
That's
we're
great.
on our second one, and we're very happy with him. And even now with COVID, he had just started with us like in November, December of last year. And so he wasn't around very long, and he didn't have any industry knowledge. He just loved beer, but he was a salesman. So we've coached him along on beer stuff.
Yeah.
And he's a go-getter, so he's doing well.
He's hustling.
Yeah,
He talks to the people.
yeah.
He puts in the time.
Yes,
Yeah,
he puts in
yeah.
the time, and he's
That's what it's about.
approachable,
Yeah,
and
it is.
very sincere.
Yeah.
So that the ingredients for a good salesman. So I just kind of rein him in, because he's really enthusiastic. And sometimes he comes up with ideas. I'm like, let's talk this through. That's not going to work. Hey, I like your ideas.
I like
so don't
where you're
stop.
going.
But, there was just some certain things where like, that's not going to work.
That sounds like us.
I'm going to be the
That
mom.
is- that is us. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like
always
us. I'm
the
like,
mom.
okay, Marissa, so I'm thinking like this, and this, and this, and then that can lead to that. And she's like, whoa. We're still doing this
Yeah.
over
I'm like,
here.
pick one of those.
It's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So where, obviously you guys have the Glass Ranch beer. You partnered with them with
To
your
make their private label beer.
with your beers. Are you in any local restaurants or where?
We
Obviously
are.
they could get it from you directly, but where else can people find
You
it?
can find it here in Redlands at Gerard's.
Okay.
I think they have almost all of our canned beer that we have official cans. The
Yeah.
pretty ones, not the silver ones with our label slapped on that I printed on the printer there.
They taste the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are in some restaurants on tap. Let's see. We're at Beer Farm in Riverside, which is in the food court.
Yep.
They actually have our pumpkin latte beer.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So they took that, and I'm trying to think. I can't keep track. We're in some new places where we have the cans. So we're in Pizza King down in that's Harupa Valley. We're in cans up in the mountains. We're in Crestline at B&L Liquor. Just trying to think of all the recent ones. We've been in like Brickwood a lot, which is downtown Riverside. They've carried our beer in Pixels in Riverside, 14th Street Liquor in Riverside, or that's Quick Pick. It's on 14th Street. Quick Pick Liquor. Every once in a while, we're in La Bodega.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, so a bunch of places. If you don't see us, ask for us. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
be in there.
So with your sales guy, his basic job is to find and develop other accounts, nurture your existing accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue those
Yeah.
relationships. And
Oh, and we're in Stacks in Rancho Cucamonga, which is a sandwich shop. We just
Okay.
did a pint night with them last month. And so they're
We
carrying
were
it.
also in the Hideaway Cafe downtown Riverside.
Oh,
Retro
yeah.
Taco.
We love
Worthington.
Red
Safe,
Taco.
yeah, Safe House in Moreno Valley.
Safe House in Moreno Valley.
Yeah, we do their house beer is the Tropical Blonde, Moreno Valley Tropical Blonde.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
And so that's a very good beer. And they have our coconut porter there, and sometimes some other beers of
Ooh,
ours
that
they have
sounds
on
good.
That does sound good.
Coconut porter.
But yeah, that was one of our
Mhm.
flagship beers, and we still have that around. Every once in a while, we put it in cans. Every time we put it in can, we did the Silver Brights with the slap-on label.
Yeah.
It sells out pretty fast.
Yeah.
When we first did that, he was still experimenting with cans, and probably because we used freshly roasted coconut, he felt it was a little unstable until he could find a way to keep the flavor stabilized. We didn't want to put it in cans if it wasn't going to,
Yeah.
last have a long enough shelf life.
Yeah.
So, but the one we have now is, I think we could can, and it would do very well.
Yeah, that sounds good. I
Yeah,
love
he's always
coconut.
working on them.
So have you gotten into any of the competitions and entering that whole world at all?
Yeah, we
Mhm.
have.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we won 2 medals at LA International. We won for our amber ale. We won a bronze medal.
Nice.
I think 2017.
That was 2018, I think, and 2019
Okay,
we
yeah,
got silver.
Silver medal for German style sours for our sour cherry gosa. So
That sounds good too.
we were hoping to win a bunch of medals this year,
Yeah.
but we decided not to send our beers. We didn't want to, there's an
Yeah.
expense to entering and shipping, and with not knowing what was going to go on, we felt that money was better to stay
Yeah.
in the house.
Yeah.
Well,
Smart,
there was
yeah.
competitions canceled. We actually
Yeah.
sent beers off to the World Beer Cup.
Oh yeah, the World Beer Cup was canceled,
Those beers got made into hand sanitizer.
but they refunded everybody's fees, so just
Yeah.
not the shipping,
Yeah.
cost, but the entry fees.
Oh, I know. I can't wait until you were talking about that event in Big
Mhm.
Bear and the line of 200 people. And inside, I'm like, I can't wait to have the world open back up to have those types of events. And
Yeah, they did the
Mhm.
Great American Brew Fest. You can tell he's got his hat, his brew night. We did not enter any beers in the competition this year for that one, but we were, like I said, it was one we just didn't. But we supported their efforts, and we were on their like a hop passport or a brewery passport for people, because since they couldn't go to the festival and drink, if you're in this area, hey, we'll give you 20% off during
Oh,
the
that's
time it
cool.
would be
Yeah.
the Great American Brew Fest. So.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which just ended, and on the 17th they announced all the winners.
That's cool.
So California did very well. They did
63 medals.
63 medals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How many breweries do you think there are in Riverside? Do you know? Like
I think
just
about six
Yeah.
or seven.
Mhm.
We've got Heroes, Packing House, Route 30, Thompson's, us. Unfortunately, there was Inland Empire, but they just closed. What am I
All
missing?
points that never
But
completely
yeah,
opened.
they haven't. They're still working on their licensing. Did I get all of them?
I think so.
No, I didn't. Wix. I forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Wix and Brew Crew, but I don't know if they're experimental, and they have rotating brewmasters or breweries going through that, which is a really cool idea. And
I heard through a friend recently that Brew Crew is looking to close.
okay, yeah. So
COVID's been hard on a lot of
a
businesses.
lot of
Yeah.
places, yeah,
Yeah.
it really has. I think I got everybody in that.
I think you did too.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you?
So-
What's the jump? Or have you guys done bottling at all? Or
Mhm.
Yeah, we did barrel aged in the 22-ounce bombers, but cans are king. They keep the beer fresher.
yeah.
Our barrel aged, our first barrel aged was a sweet potato pie ale,
Oh wow.
aged in rum barrels.
Oh, cool.
So, and we released it right before Thanksgiving, so it's a real holiday
Yeah.
beer. And that was 2 years ago, 2 years ago we released that beer.
Yeah.
And then the following year we released our Kronos, which is a little bit over 12%. It's a Russian Imperial Stout aged in George Dickel, Tennessee whiskey barrels. So, which is
Sour
it's
mash.
pretty, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
popular.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Are the
That one we have on tap.
Do you? Are the sours I've never got into the sour.
Yeah,
so
that
are
was
they-
that
are
one's
they-
not a sour.
Oh, it's not a sour. It's just sour mash whiskey.
Oh, okay. But are the sours, are those, I never really got into them or weren't my favorite. Are those still pretty popular? Or are they?
Oh, they're
yeah.
popular
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
certain people
There's-
that love a sour. And the true sour is a mixed fermentation.
don't
Years
do any
ago,
of those.
before the first pure culture, which, let's see, what's his name? Christian Anderson, I believe, was the
Hans
scientist,
Christians?
and he was working. No, it's not Hans Christian Andersen.
A little bedtime story.
He was
Yeah.
working for, I think, Carlsberg Brewing Company. Guy who invented the microscope, Anton von Leeuwenhoek. I believe he was working for Carlsberg when he made that first microscope. So a lot of scientific breakthroughs have come through from breweries.
That's cool.
So before that first pure culture, all beers were sour eventually.
Mm.
Lactobacillus works a bit slow,
Yeah.
and the more highly you hop the beer, the less likely they will take a good foothold, especially if you get over 10 IBUs. And 10 IBUs, you wouldn't even really taste the hops. It wouldn't even be a bitter beer. It would just balance the bitter and the sweet.
Yeah.
That's what part of the job of what hops do. They can also flavor, and you can get aromas. And if you smell a hop straight out of the bag, for the most part, they don't really smell fruity. Although I did walk up on a hop at a beer event that smelled fruity as any hop that I had ever smelled, called the Styrian Wolf. And I told a friend of mine about it, and he became the first brewmaster for Lake Arrowhead Brewing Company. And he decided, after I talked up that hop, that he was going to make a single hop beer, double IPA. They didn't call it the Styrian Wolf, but that was his name for it.
That's
so
cool.
we refer to it as the Wolf.
The wolf. Yeah.
Wolf.
It was
And I
very
remember
good.
picking up the Wolf, and every sip I got a different fruit out of it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And like passion fruit,
Yeah, I want him to
strawberry,
make a beer out of that,
coconut,
'cause it was good.
pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds
I'm sure
good.
we will.
Yeah, we'll
Huh.
probably make one.
So are you guys from Riverside originally?
No, I'm a transplant from. Was born in San Diego,
Okay.
and but grew up in Orange County. And we moved to Anaheim originally
Yeah.
when I was 5, but spent most of the time in Westminster. And I moved out to Riverside when I was 23, and haven't left. And when I met Don, which was 17, almost 18 years ago, he lived up in Hesperia at the time. And we were dating for about 3 months, and he had me come up for a Christmas party, and I got out of the car at this Christmas party, and they have a cold wind up there, and I said, oh no. So that night I told him, hey, if this is a deal breaker, I just got to let you know I will never live up here. You'll have to come to Riverside. It's too cold up here.
Yeah.
So then
That's so
when we got
great.
married, he moved out here, and we've been married for 16 years. So
It's a
Very cool.
it's a good place.
It is a
we
good
we
place.
Yeah.
even moved back to it.
We're happy to be home.
Yeah. So do you guys have what's the next step? Are you guys kind of at a place where you're happy with the groove you're in, or is there certain goals or a place that you guys look to take the business?
I think we're pretty happy with the groove we're in right now because, the future's so up in the air right now. I mean, what our goal was to be able to keep we've got big equipment. We've got a 10 barrel, so it's not huge, but big for a good size for a small brewery to do quite a bit of production. So our goal was to keep that in production in ad tanks and just, produce enough beer out of that where it would do a nice business. So that's still our goal, I think.
Yeah.
And we're starting to get there. I think we're going to have to get new tanks this year in part because the Glass Ranch beer is keeping us busy. Yeah, that was a really nice thing. We released the first beer, the Blood Orange Blonde, about a year ago in September. And we had worked with them, and they had tasted the beers and picked that one. And so we made our first batch, which was a 10-barrel batch, and it canned out 16-ounce cans, 105 cases, the first run. And Betsy, saw that, it's probably more beer than they've ever had in their fridge, because you've seen, if you've been, they only have a small section
it's
for
not,
beer.
It's not huge.
And she told Don, what's the shelf life on this beer? What am I going to do? Well, I guess we could mark it down. And it sold out in 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So we always make bigger batches, and then we've done, now they have 6 different beers with the latest Tangerine Session IPA.
Yeah.
And they all just look so beautiful
Yeah,
together.
they do.
Like, I love looking at them.
And she's so good at
Display.
setting them up and photographing them and posting
She
them,
is.
and
She's-
she's really good at marketing.
She's an artist.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she's awesome.
It was cool to see too. So when we released the podcast with them and on our Facebook, I think we got like 4,000 or 5,000 views on it, and I had people were even messaging me thinking I was them, and they're asking about the beers, and they're like, we had no idea that they had beer, or like people that don't live in Riverside anymore, but somewhere in the Inland Empire, Southern California, like, oh, I grew up in Riverside, and I worked there at the Christmas tree farm, or my dad worked there, and I didn't know they had beers now, and like, I'm going to take a trip out there. And that's really our goal with this, is just for local creative businesses to, if we can give just a little bit more exposure and tell their story. But it was cool to see, because we didn't, even when we had them on, we had no idea.
Yeah.
And how long ago did that happen?
A year ago we released the
ago.
first one.
Yeah. And then the seltzer just came out.
The seltzer just came out this past week.
Yeah. So is that right now, is that the only place you can get the seltzer at their market?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you said with the tap room, you're doing it every other Saturday right now?
Yeah, every other Saturday.
And do you have like a food truck come in, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're pairing up with a food truck, or some of them are the grill where they set up their grill and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, so whatever we can do to have a bona fide meal
Yeah.
to serve with our beer, that's
Yeah.
what we're doing.
It would be so great to get some more businesses like that in that area
Yes.
down there.
Yeah.
It's really just you guys and Arcade right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both graduated from North. He probably told you that, but so
Okay.
we love that little North High School area. So it would be great to see it.
Yeah, it
thrive.
It needs they need some revitalization in that area. I mean, they've done some.
They just
but
need some
the city
vitalization.
really needs to to do some cleanup on University.
Yeah.
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 Towards the college, it's a little bit better.
gets a
the
little better.
University Village is not bad. They redid some of the other areas a little bit around that, but it's still.
It hasn't quite bled.
No.
Down
well, and
that way
Riverside's
up.
always been a weird city where you
is.
have nice area, and right down the street is not so nice area, or you know, or one that's just not kept up as well, and it's just got the like pockets. So it's really a mixed city all over the city.
Yeah.
Which part of its charm too is that, friends with your neighbors, and you all go to the same grocery store, and it's very diverse.
Yeah, it is. That's what we love about it. That was kind of what drew us back home, was from living in the Carolinas, and where it is not diverse at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were excited to come home and kind of have our kids had that same experience that we had growing up, which was just the Riverside melting pot. That it's just
It really
it's a cool
is.
place to be.
kinds of different people, and
Yeah. That's like she said, that's one of the things we really love about it, and what brought us back where we were before. It was like, if you lived in this area, then you were going to get this type of person, and that high school was, all the kids were going to be cookie cutter looking like that for the most part. So it still exists everywhere to some
I think
some
Riverside
extent.
is very unique. It's a big college town.
yeah.
And it's got a huge arts culture. That's mine.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
It's telling me to walk.
And because we have the California School for the Deaf, we get a lot of deaf people come in too.
Really?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, and they love beers as well.
Yeah.
My wife uses her talk to text.
Yeah.
And then they show each other the phones.
That's awesome.
That's
They
awesome.
have a
they
little
typed it in.
conversation.
Yeah.
Because we don't know sign language, and
Right.
and they're probably real good at reading lips, but it's nice if they don't have to.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So yeah,
It's very cool.
it is a very unique town, and
Yeah.
it's the biggest small town I think
Yeah.
around. Everybody
Mhm.
knows it. Everybody. That's more like 3 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like even when we came back, and so our main thing is we publish a real estate magazine for real estate agents in the Inland Empire,
Mm-hmm.
and we started meeting with people and getting to know the real estate agents. It was always like, seems like over every meeting, it's like,
Yeah.
well, what high school did you go to? Like, I went to Poly. I'm like, oh, I knew this guy. They're like, yeah, I knew him.
Yeah,
It's-
it is.
Yeah, it's so that happens so
It is
fast.
very few
Yeah.
degrees of separation.
You mentioned the Riverside Arts Council.
Mm-hmm.
That what is that exactly?
The Riverside Arts Council is really was put in place to help other arts organizations to have a central place for helping them to grant write, like the smaller organizations, somebody that maybe is only one artist, to do grant writing, to put together some fundraising and do small organizational grants, to raise awareness in Riverside County, and particularly, of course, the city of Riverside, and partner with other arts organizations in California and nationally to bring awareness to the programs that they have here and start other programs. I know recently they just started a arts in some of the prisons where they're helping the inmates find a voice writing.
That's
Mm.
cool.
That's great.
and doing some artistic work,
That's very cool.
How long have you worked with them?
I have been on the council for a long time.
Yeah.
probably at least 10 years, probably longer,
Yeah.
a little
That's
bit
cool.
longer, 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
I grew up at Riverside Valley Arts dancing, and so
Okay.
CRB, and so yeah, we always had a lot of overlap with the Arts Council.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
good.
right now they send out the 15 favorites every week if you haven't subscribed to that, which is really cool because they
That is
highlight
cool.
things to do, and some of them are free, some of them are not, but it tells you what's going on in the city, so you can go to the Riverside Arts Council website and sign up for that newsletter, and it just is 15. It comes out weekly. Hey, here's what's going on this week.
It's cool.
And gives you a lot of information on things to do.
Things
Yeah.
to
So the
see.
email. They send
Yeah, it's
out
an email.
Email newsletter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I saw they're doing Ghost Walk virtually
virtually
this
yeah.
year. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was one of those things that I was like, I wonder what's going to happen with Ghost Walk.
Yeah.
What have you heard? What's happening with is it the Festival of Trees or just the Mission Inn?
I don't
and-
know what
yeah.
they're gonna do with that. I mean, they could probably maybe do that. They'd have to limit. You'd have to reserve a time.
Yeah.
And now that we slip back into purple,
Right.
Yeah.
so
Right.
I don't know.
I know. I felt
you
like
know.
I was having like a glimmer of hope for holiday
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah. So
a couple
it
of
really didn't affect us because we weren't doing any indoor, and that's the
Yeah.
only thing it cut out. So.
yeah.
But it's sad for the people that were, it's sad for all of us that were being hit economically, and nobody expected to go on this long.
Right.
You
No.
know, we'll see what happens after the elections, and hopefully it will be for the better,
Yeah.
or hopefully it won't get any worse.
yeah. We'll start making some progress.
Yeah. I'm crossing my fingers. I think things are gonna start to open up after the election.
I hope so.
I think. So. Well.
Yeah.
But the day before
Are
we
we
were-
taking bets?
Yeah. I have a couple out there already. I think it was the day before we went back to Purple, and because we're huge movie buffs and like the movie theaters were open, and
We
were
went to a movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know we've been to as soon as it opened. I think we've been to like 4 already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the day before we went back to Purple, and we were by the movie theater. We were just in that shopping center, and I looked at the movie theater and go, I have a feeling
See, it's your fault.
yeah, it's my fault. Like I have a feeling we're gonna go back.
Purple because of Mark Menezes.
And the next
Yeah.
day. So do you guys have any new beers that you have planned coming out for fall, winter, or what's?
Well, we did release the pumpkin latte, which is different because a lot of people do pumpkin beers, and
Yeah.
and Don was like, when we did the sweet potato pie, people are like, "Are you going to do a pumpkin beer?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going to do a pumpkin beer." That's why I did sweet potato pie.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then a friend approached him and said, "You should do a pumpkin beer." And he approached me. He goes, "Yeah, Ken wants me to do a pumpkin beer." And I said, "Well, do it different. Do a pumpkin latte."
I like that.
So that's what we did, and it's delicious. You know, a lot of people love coffee, and
Yeah.
pumpkin. You can have your pumpkin pie and coffee in one beer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really turned out well. But I didn't expect anything less from Don. He's a brilliant brewmaster.
It sounds like you're very good with like pairings and flavors and knowing like just the right things to bring together.
Well, brewing is experiential.
Yeah.
And you could read about it in a book and learn all the science. And but if you never make a beer, then you really don't know how.
Yeah. It's true.
And so then what comes out of that and tasting it and knowing what each ingredient does to the flavor, as well as the variants that you can do to your processes, times, temperatures. And even when you add an ingredient, will have
Yeah.
a change in the flavor.
Yeah.
So having made beers for 32 years with one change at a time is what gave me that experience, that knowledge.
Yeah, I can see that.
So do you cook a lot as well?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love to cook.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
to eat. And so
I know, I say that all the time. Like, I need to cook because I like eating good food.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, I mean, you could say that COVID's been bad because we're all sitting around at home, but, you know, we get to spend more time together, get
Yeah.
to cook together and, you know, eat together. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm really enjoying it, my family. Yes, I would like to be, you know, the economy to be more open and we could expand our business in a different way and work the ideas that we've been thinking about and really itching to put into practice. But we will in time.
We'll
you
get
know.
there.
Yeah, for sure. We'll still have those ideas when the time comes.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to enact them.
I know there's a lot of things about quarantine life that I hope that people take with them. And
Yeah.
like, you know, some things that we can like maybe let go of. Like, we don't need to be so busy, and let's evaluate all these things that we were doing that we stopped doing, and we all, you know, it was okay.
I just decided I was going to be happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I made my bar for happiness more esoteric.
I like that.
So the things that make me happy can't be taken away from me.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. That's the best attitude to have.
Yes.
Well, we love your beers that we've had so
Thank
far.
you.
Can't wait to taste more.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for coming all the way out to Redlands and,
Yeah.
and sharing your
Thanks for
story.
having us. We were really excited to come
Yeah.
and be here and accommodating our time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So can't wait to drink all your beers
We
now.
are ready to adjourn to the brewery.
Yeah.
Yay!
Drink all the
Yeah.
beers.
Thanks again.
Thank you. And did some.
Still be a functional bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.